Hello everyone, happy Sunday. I am sorry that I did not go live on Friday. I actually am involved in something really interesting that I want to share with everybody. Children's Court nonprofit, which is ran by Phoenix Kai, is doing a mass writ of habeas corpus as a national movement across our country, and we're targeting it for June, when there is going to be a few members of all of us nonprofits out in DC. And I'm hoping maybe I can get in on that too. As far as my court cases is concerned, nothing more has happened with the appellant court. We're still sitting. They have until the end of May to get my index going in the appellant court, District 5 appellant court in Daytona. I have to start writing out my briefing. So the appellant court is kind of just at a standstill at the moment. As far as my family court, next Friday, May 2nd, I do have a hearing with Judge Sandra C. Upchurch at the Daytona courthouse at 9 a.m. I would love for court watchers to actually show up in person. So if anybody is available to show up to court watch this and witness this and record, document anything that happens in that hearing, I would greatly appreciate court watchers in the Daytona area. The last hearing I had with Sandra Upchurch, January 8th, she denied virtual court watchers and she denied my subpoenaed witness, which was my Chrysalis Health therapist, Karen Edward, who actually called in wellness checks and filed DCF reports for my children when she was my therapist last year in 2024. So Sandra Upchurch denied my formally subpoenaed witness, would not allow court watchers virtually. So I'm not even going to bother trying to request that again because everything she does is a slap of denial. So it's just a waste of my time at this point. It is very clear that she is working for the Serlick family, and it is very clear that she does not care about my children's welfare and safety. And, well, there will be a lawsuit eventually for her. Tonight, what I want to focus on is something that Pete and I have been dealing with for almost 2 full years now for us as a couple. And then I have been dealing with this for 3 years between the two of these 65-plus-year-old women. Mary Serlick I've been dealing with since I married her son in 2003. So, you know, she's her own crazy basket case, but, you know, I was married to her son. So, you know, the harassment and the abuse and the threats and the psychological harm that she is trying to do to me 12 years after I divorced her son, I can't even imagine if this is what she's willing to say to other adults in emails. I want to know what the heck she's saying to my 4 children, because I'm going to read, Pete and I are both going to read some emails, texts, etc. And I want the internet to be a judge as to what type of humans Mary Serlick and Laura Stiles of Port Orange, Florida is. What type of humans, guys? So you tell me. After we read all the evidence to you, I want your opinions on what type of humans these 2 women are. So first I'm going to start with some emails from Mary Serlick back in 2022. This was 3 months after the April 27, 2022 order was signed behind my back illegally. I was not present for it. I did not know any of this happened. But these are the emails that gave me the court order, the April 27th, because no one else ever served it to me. So that meant that I lost the ability to appeal it. And that's the court order, the 3-page court order that they have been hiding behind for 3 years now. April 27th will be 3 years that they've been hiding my children behind this illegal court order, which is what the appellant court we're going to be dealing with. So I'm going to read a few of these emails to you. and you tell me what type of ex-mother-in-law I have. So this one is dated June 19th, 2022 at 8:20 p.m. And again, all of these will be scanned so you can read them along with me as you're seeing this. So you can see that these emails legit came from iamserlick@gmail.com and the date and times that these were sent from this woman. Since you do not understand, let me clear some things up for you. You keep emailing me. You fabricate stories that suit your needs and involve me as you believe I have caused you all of your problems. I call your stories lies, but you have never admitted since 2003 you took personal responsibility for any of your problems. This is all in caps. Mary Serlick loves typing in caps. No part of that paragraph made any logical sense to me. It's not even coherent English. Next paragraph. Just so you know, you are insignificant. I have zero sympathy for you. You are a sociopath. Lies, cheat, steal, grift, and believe you are the most important and most educated person in the world. No, I don't. Newsflash, you are not. You're right, I'm not the most educated person in the world. I would love to be, but I'm not. 25 years of my life was wasted on your son. So, since you emailed everyone that was involved with DCFS in court, I am doing the same thing. So what she means by same thing is at the top of this email, you can see all the other people she emailed. This included my previous public defender in Illinois, Camelot Care caseworker Elizabeth Tevis, Heather Ocampo from Camelot Care, her previous lawyer, Kyle Ruckheim at KGW Law, Mark Smith at Illinois.gov, which was the previous director of DCFS, Julie Berchtold from the Waukegan DCFS office, her sister Kathy Humphrey, her niece Tiffany Klein, a whole bunch of people are on this email chain. It was good of you to not appear in the final court hearing in Waukegan, Illinois. Thank you. What she's referring to is the April 27, 2022 Zoom hearing that should have never happened because Illinois did not have jurisdiction over my children at that point. It should have happened in Florida. There was a 3-page order signed behind my back. I was not present for, and I did not have any legal representation to. So this is what she's referring to. It was good of you to not appear in the final court hearing. Thank you. She's thanking me. If you started a family case against my son, Justin, you asked the court for full custody, and if awarded full custody, you expected additional child support. Okay, first of all, I was awarded full custody of my children when I divorced him June 2013. The only thing that my family case was supposed to deal with in 2020 was to add my youngest son, Charles Serlick, that was born years after my divorce, that Justin was paying no child support for, and Charlie was a product of Justin raping me under the influence of Ambien. And then the child support modification is something that every person has a right to do, however often they want to do it, including in Florida. So it had nothing to do with me getting full custody because I already had full custody of my children. And that would be the June 24th, 2013 divorce. While you failed to appear, the judge was not giving you anything as you weren't present for the hearing, which means it should have been rescheduled or dismissed. So the attached to this email, so you are aware, you lost custody, first through DCFS, all 4 of your children, that's on you. The family court case, blah, 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 was awarded sole custody responsibilities for TS, BS, and CS. Justin is allocated, and I'm not going to read all this because I've got a lot to cover, but she basically reiterates exactly what was in that April 27, 2022 order. Yeah, she was quite literally gloating that this hearing happened behind my back without me having legal representation, which is a violation of my constitutional rights and a violation of due process. And because that April 27, 2022 hearing happened behind my back, I can file a habeas corpus in the state of Illinois, which I will be doing. So anyways, it's pages among pages of her, all capitalized, insulting me to no end. I'll skip to the very end. Stop talking to your Facebook groupies. Yes, I know. Stop contacting me. I don't contact her. I have nothing for you, nor was any of your property left here. I have zero respect for you. If I have to, you know I will. Get a new restraining order against you. New? That means you need to have had one against me the first time around. I've had restraining orders against Mary, not the other way around. You were told by the Port Orange Police Department you have no business in this neighborhood. Do not come back in the neighborhood. You did on several occasions. Yeah, it's because I was door dashing in 2022, Mary. I was door dashing all summer, and I have the 1099 to prove it. I was door dashing in Edgewater, New Smyrna, Port Orange, Daytona. I even ended up in Ormond Beach sometimes. So I'm sorry that people in Kingswood like to order DoorDash, but I was door dashing, so get over yourself. Engaging in stalking activity. You're such a dumbass. Your banks keep calling Laura and us regarding past due payments on all of your vehicles. No, they're not. Because you guys aren't linked to my credit at all. So the only way you know anything about my bills would be to pull a credit report on me. And I know you've done that. It shows up on my background checks. Did you think banks didn't call references? They do. I don't use these people as references. Anyways, so that was June 19th. Another one, June 19th. Since you do not understand, let me clear some things up for you. You keep emailing me. You fabricate stories that suit your needs and involve me as you believe I have caused you all your problems. That caused you.
That's the same email.
Oh, am I? Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me. They're all very similar. All right.
A lot of them, she just would reply all onto other emails, so the email chains do get a little crazy.
Okay. So let's just skip to this year for Mary. Mary Serlick emails to Heather, February 2nd of 2025. They are intelligent enough to understand manipulation. I also have all the videos of you recording Greg victimizing you. So this is February of this year. Pete, how long have you and I been together?
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years. And February of this year, Mary Serlick is emailing me about my ex, Greg, that I have not been involved with or really communicated with, basically since I met Pete. So why is Mary Serlick talking about my ex from over 2 years ago when she knows that Pete and I are together? This is how hard it is to keep up with her, because she brings up stuff from years and years ago, and it's like they're in the twilight zone. You post all your dirty laundry online. Greg was not prosecuted. I sent him all the videos you took illegally per Florida law. You are not the victim of anything other than your own stupid ego bloating to the public. I'm a perpetual victa, and it's just VICTI. Everyone is against me, blah, blah, blah. I don't care if you give the judge this. All this proves is I have evidence you don't want Judge Upchurch to see. She can't even spell Judge Upchurch's name right. I can public post it all. I don't give a shit if it shows everyone the truth about you. I'm getting ready to upload it all. You are a menace to society. You get what you deserve, reaping all you've sown over the decades. Okay, so this email is literally talking about a guy I have not been involved with for over 2 years. Why she's obsessing over Greg, I don't know, but Laura Stiles has been obsessed over Greg since she met Greg through me as well.
Is that Mary or Laura? Right?
This is all Mary.
Okay.
But Mary had nothing to do with Greg. Laura knew Greg because I was living with Laura when Greg and I first met and started dating.
So anything Mary knows about Greg is through her
Laura.
friendship now with Laura.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go to the next email. Same date, February 2nd, 2025, this year. Turnabout is fair play, and per the police, it is legal. So now she's basically saying, I'm just going to keep emailing and harassing you because the cops aren't going to do their job and do anything. You are delusional. I'm not hiding anyone from you. Just another rant. You know exactly where they are. Yeah. They're at 333 South Landvale Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida, 32114. And the last time I tried going to Justin Serlick's residence to try to speak to my children, he was screaming at Tommy to call 911 to have me arrested for trespassing, even though I was in the middle of the road in my car with my seatbelt on. And that video even shows it, the video that Justin took of me. So when I try to go to Justin's address to communicate with my children, that is what happens. But they claim that they're not hiding my children from me. Let's see. Seen as you went to Justin's new home, like I said, right after he purchased it and moved into it. Oh, and done all without you dragging him down. Didn't think we'd have proof. I hear Costa Rica is nice this time of year, or Germany, since you need personal me time. I bet it's cheaper now that you're further south. Oh, and if you wanted me to see the files on your Google Drive, you really should unblock me, bimbo. It's very interesting. She brings up my study abroads from my bachelor's degree, my required study abroad.
Yeah, she's been under the impression apparently that those were vacations for you.
Yeah, no, they're very much on my transcript for the whole world to see. The 2 Costa Rica study abroads was field biology, and it replaced some other classes. So I actually got double credit because it was an in-field biology course where I was working with a professor at College Lake County. So I actually got double credits for that. So that helped me get to my junior status quicker. And then my Germany study abroad was an exchange program with the German students for my freshwater resources and my bioremediation certification at Ostfalia. They were not vacations. They were a lot of hard work, something that Justin Serlick knows nothing about. So then let's go to and this has a bunch of attachments. Now we've got February 19th of 2025. So Mary is replying to an email I sent to her family, responding to her family, trying to get Carol Klein, Cappy Humphrey, her sisters to maybe step in and advocate for my children. So I sent emails to all of Mary's family so they can be aware of what's actually going on with my children. Since they are blood related to my children, I was hoping maybe someone in Mary Serlick's family would have a heart unlike her. So Mary responds to that email to her family with "Keep lying, Heather. Dig your hole deeper," in all caps. Another email. That's all you got, lame ass music lyrics, idiot. And then these are emails to you. So let's shift to you. What is Mary Serlick emailed to you, Pete? And first of all, what's your relation to Mary Serlick?
I have no relation to her, other than, through you knowing she's your ex-mother-in-law. I have seen her all of one time when she showed up at one of your court hearings, which is actually about when the messages I started getting directly from her. So we had a court hearing in January, or you had a court hearing in January that I was with you at. And then on February 1st, Mary sent this. It's 3 pages of ranting, all cap, which on the internet means somebody's yelling. It's really unhinged, and the thing is, a lot of what she tries to allege in here, or some of the stuff she brings up, it's as if she's trying to bring up stuff that I don't already know the background on. But it really is it's a crazy ranting 3 pages. Now, I was BCC'd on it, so it was obviously sent to other people as well. And Heather got this one too. But when the first word of the email is bitch, addressed toward Heather, bitch, you think you can post my personal info online and I wouldn't find out about it? Dumbass, Facebook notified me you did it. Stop playing your childish fucking games. And for Pete, you are her next victim. Again, just crazy rants here. Just like every man she has ever been with, you step out of line, you're going to get the Heather treatment. Obviously, the intent of the messages that I get is to try to create discord between me and Heather, give me, trying to give me second guesses, make me want to, run away or whatever. But again, I already know the background on all of this, and me and Heather have been together for 2 years. Heather is extremely open with me, more than most people would even believe. So again, I know the background, and I don't just go by what Heather tells me. I've literally seen the court documents and the cases, and the police reports. I've seen the pictures and videos of stuff happening. So it's all, again, just crazy ranting. Let's go. And it gets to be pretty vulgar toward me too. She needs to teach you your place as her lapdog. Heather, you stole from us. Remember, I do. Okay, yeah. Let's get into this now too. She calls. So a lot of this is still addressed toward Heather, calling Heather a freeloader, talking about the house in Rockford under contract. So I know the backstory on that. It was basically Mary and Justin actually signed the house, bought the house.
Well, Justin wasn't involved with it. Yeah. It was actually Mary and Ira.
So they bought the house and then basically tell Justin he's got to move into it.
So the whole reason that Rockford house happened is Justin and I were rent-to-owning a really nice house in Round Lake Beach. We worked with a realtor, and then after 2 years at Rent-A-Center in Round Lake Beach as an account manager, Justin harassed a customer to extreme. Like put Rent-A-Center tags all over the customer's garage. He's lucky he didn't get arrested, to be honest. But Rent-A-Center fired him. I was 9 months pregnant with Ariana. I was on maternity leave from Hewitt Associates in Human Resources. So I couldn't work. I was literally 9 months pregnant. So Mary and Ira bought this house on short sale in Rockford, in the worst part of the city you could possibly go, and basically forced me into that house with Justin 2 weeks before I was about to give birth to my first daughter at 26 years old. So I was stuck. I did not want to move to Rockford and away from everything I'd ever known.
Okay. And she goes on to complain about Heather basically moving out of the Rockford house. Well, there's a very good reason why. This place was in such a shitty neighborhood that even the freaking ice cream man was murdered. He was shot on their front doorstep, practically, right in front of their house.
And that's when Justin and I collectively decided to move out and move to a much quieter area to raise our kids. And we ended up in Davis Junction for 2 years until we moved back to Lake County.
Okay, so back into the emails. Again, we're going to post the email because you really have to read through it and see how unhinged this writer really is. But it gets down to when she actually starts addressing things directly toward me. Pete, run. You have no clue how fucked you are. You have no clue what this garbage truly is. Have you ever wondered about why she's fixated on me? Heather's not fixated on this nut job. I literally have no reason to receive any communications from her from this nut job, yet she sends me 3 pages of ranting lunatic email. Goes on to call Heather a con artist. Okay, but here's the part I want to. This is how really sociopathic this lady is. I heard your mom is in memory care. Very sorry to hear that. Referring to my mom. Are you sure Heather didn't hurt her while you were not home? Oh, did Heather ever tell you that she threw her own mother down the stairs and laughed? Sure, she sure did. Yeah, 16 years old. Okay, so a couple things here. First of all, that's just sociopathic to try to feed that narrative in that Heather might have done something to my mom. Didn't happen. If anything, Heather actually did save my mom's life. Okay, we don't need to get into that story, but my mom would be dead if Heather hadn't seen something happening and convinced me to get my mom to the hospital. Okay. Second, I know the story about Heather's mom, and it was not when Heather was 16. So if you're going to throw out lies, let's get the facts straight. What actually happened was Heather walked into her own mother snorting ground up pills off of a picture of, was it Baby Picture?
So my mother was very addicted since I was like 12 years old to prescription narcotics. She had a pill pusher primary care physician, and she started hardcore abusing prescription narcotics when I was in middle school. And that's kind of when my life took a crazy turn when I was 12 years old and guardianship was given to my grandparents, because I myself almost became a ward of Illinois because of my mother's drug addiction, and then my stepdad doing inappropriate things to me, Neil Sedlacko. So guardianship was given to my grandparents when I was 12, and then at 15, my grandfather had a heart attack and a stroke, became paralyzed from the waist down. DCFS for a second time tried to pull me into foster care to traffic me, and I said absolutely not. So they said, well, you don't have a choice then. You got to live with your stepfather and your mother. Okay, fine. I'm living with my grandfather as well. My mother was snorting Oxycontin that night. I was in the middle of a pretty big argument with her over the high school boyfriend I had at the time, John Pashal. She did not want me seeing him, hanging out with him or anything. I was on the second floor of my house. We were in a tri-level house. So she's standing over the stairs, screaming at me. I'm on the staircase, looking up at her crying. She goes to slap me. I sway back. She ends up falling and hitting her head. That is what actually happened. That's what's in the police report. And that happened in December of 1998, when I was almost 18. I moved out literally 3 weeks later on my 18th birthday, January 15th of 1999. So these weird, altered facts that Mary Serlick is coming up with, I don't know where she's getting it from, because Mary Serlick didn't even know me until 2003. So how she knows something that happened in my childhood home where only my grandfather and my mother was present when I'm 17 is beyond me. I didn't even know who Mary Serlick was when I was 17. And yet here she is, 2025, emailing Pete something that happened when I was 17.
It goes on. She goes on. She talks about how she was great friends with Heather's mom. She wasn't. She started having, communicating with Heather's mom when Heather and Justin got married. But by that point, Heather's mom was pretty much a full-blown prescription drug addict. The other thing here, again, talk about just trying to bring up the past. She has a line in here, in parentheses, by the way, what dirt are you using against John? John would be Heather's first husband.
John Pashal.
Who was Justin's best friend.
The kid that my mother wanted me had nothing to do with.
Part of it that doesn't make sense. He fell into a trap at my house for you. blackmail, not shocked. Okay. I don't know what
What does John
I
Bashar
don't know
have to
what
do
she's
with
trying
any
to
of
get
this?
into with John, but I know Heather wants absolutely nothing to do with John. I
Nope.
know what transpired the last time they
Worked together
were
at
working
Velocity.
together.
He's
And
lucky
I
he's still
know
alive.
that he has been trying to stalk her online profiles because Heather gets notifications every time he pulls up and looks at her Snapchat, or not Snapchat. Was it Snapchat or TikTok?
TikTok.
Every time he tries to look at her TikTok profile, which they're not really anything on the TikTok profile. But it's just, an X that
I
if
get-
Heather's here, let me okay, let's just let the internet jump to conclusions. If Heather is such a bad person, why is her first husband,
My high school sweetheart, first husband.
from how long ago did you get divorced from him?
I divorced John in 2003 and then turned around and married his best friend, Justin, not even a month later in 2003.
Over 20 years ago,
22 years.
you got divorced from this guy over 20
Yep.
years ago.
22 years
And this
ago.
guy is still trying to see your online profiles. Mm-hmm. Because you must have been so bad.
And every time I get an email, what do? The email notifications.
Just delete them.
But no, what do I do before I delete them, though? I show them to
yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's not, I'm not even
Sorry.
trying to hide it. I'm like, oh, look at my first husband stalking my TikTok
All right,
again.
So, let's just move on. So we'll post that whole email so you
Okay.
can see the 3 pages. I do have one other message. This came from Mary.
Okay.
Now, obviously, I get emails from her that lunatic rant-filled thing. I go in and I block it. So that's one common theme with these two women sending both of us messages. You try to block one profile, all of a sudden they create another profile, or they try to message you another way. So I have. Well, hold on. I have. I pay for some subscription services that I would recommend to most people for them to delete information off the internet. So it's not very easy to find my personal cell phone number. So because they couldn't apparently get my personal cell phone number, they found my old photography business phone number. Now it's a Google Voice number, but what it does, it stores all the messages so we can print them out. So I actually got a text message. This came from phone number 847-980-8439.
Mary Serlick.
Which apparently is Mary Serlick.
It matches the number that's stored into my
search
phone.
on White Pages, it's public information. Okay. Heather tried to charge rape 4 years after, and the cops did the math. Her dates provided as to the date if rape did not match up with birth of Charlie.
Actually, if you look at the police report, Box Lake was actually documenting when they were getting the medical records for Charlie. It absolutely coincided.
The rape baby who brought her comfort, her words, if you don't think you're in danger, think again. She has done this to every man she's ever slept with. Okay. The only person.
So why does Greg keep trying to communicate with me?
Hold on. The only person that you have ever accused of raping you is Justin.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely true. Because he's the only one that has actually raped me again and again and again. Because he was living with me.
And I do want to point out in all of the court hearings when you directly stated to him and to the court that he raped you, he absolutely never denied raping you. There was one time where he made a comment he didn't rape anybody, but when you multiple times told him to his face that he raped you, he sits in silence.
Yeah, and a normal response, if someone is accusing you of something to that extreme as a man,
would be to say, hell no, absolutely
right,
not.
right. That would be a normal response.
So she goes on to say, you're her next victim. Believe me, I have no need to lie. Mary's got all kinds of reasons to lie. Her emails are full, her messages are full of lies. She has no problem lying, meaning Heather. It's her MO. You should really have listened to Laura. So again, she's telling me I should have listened to Laura. So we're going to get to Laura.
Which is Mary Serlick's flying monkey.
She was trying to warn you, but do as you wish. I do hope She wasn't responsible for your mother being in memory care. So again, this is Mary sending me a message, trying to plant a seed in my head as if, Heather might have had something to do with my mom. Heather didn't have anything to do with my mom. My mom has had a long-term, steady decline cognitively. My mom's 82 years old. It's something that happens to older folks. It's something we deal with as a family as best we can. When my mom got to the point where me and Heather were not able to continue taking care of her,
we were our only caregivers.
We moved her. We got my mom into an assisted living facility, which is a great facility.
But who is Mary Serlick to comment on Pete's mother at all?
So I mean that's the thing
who does something
this lady
like that?
has absolutely no knowledge of my mom.
No.
So other than maybe seeing something,
it's none of
somewhere
her
on
business.
Facebook
It's
somehow.
none of her concern. And it should not be brought up to a man you've never met. Pete and Mary have no reason to be communicating with each other. It's just not what ex-mother-in-laws from over 12 years ago do.
Anyways, and then she copied in, you can sort of see a picture there and another picture. Those are, the first one is a picture of the letter they did a public information request.
That is the very top page of the FOIA. That's the very last page. But there's 38 pages missing in that FOIA.
And we know there's 38 pages because Heather has published the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have from Mary directly.
Okay. More? So this is, I'm going to jump to this and then we're going to start talking about the flying monkey. But this is something that either Mary Serlick or Laura Stiles, or probably both, filed into my docket in Florida Circuit 7, Heather Bendl versus Justin D. Serlick. So I'm going to show you this right here. It's DIN 132. This was filed into my docket literally one day before the February 25th hearing with General Magistrate Alexander Alvarez that ended up being continued to the March 25th because the cart services were not working for me. So let me read this formal request of pleading, and request is not even spelled right. I am formally requesting the court to enforce the non-compliance of purge and writ of bodily attachment that I filed on February 19th, 2025, in regards to her continuing to not pay the ordered support. He's referring to the illegal contempt order that was signed with no due process behind my back illegally by Judge Stasia Warren, November 19th, 2024, and then not even a month later, Stasia Warren recused herself from my case, and now I'm stuck with Sandra Upchurch instead. When I called everybody out on this illegal contempt order, and then I did a public records request, Warren recused herself because she was doing some illegal activity, and especially by signing this contempt order. So this contempt order should have never happened, and that is absolutely going to be discussed in the appeals court, the appellate court, District 5. But it's also why I can now file a writ of habeas corpus in the state of Florida. So the April 27th, 2022 order allows me to file a writ of habeas corpus in Illinois. The November 19th of 2024 order allows me to file a writ of habeas corpus in Florida. So I will be filing as part of this national movement 2 writs of habeas corpus because of my liberties being violated. Now, if you want more information on these habeas corpuses that we're doing nationally, please check out Children's Court with Phoenix Kai Rising. She started the movement. You have to have had your liberties, your U.S. constitutional liberties violated in order to participate in this properly. I had my liberties violated multiple times in the state of Illinois. I had my liberties violated multiple times in the state of Florida. So I will be filing 2 of them as part of this national movement. But listen to this next part. Now, keep in mind, this is my ex-husband Justin Serlick's name attached to this with his signature. But I don't think this was Justin who wrote this up and came up with this idea. I formally requested, this is how it's spelled wrong. Requested.
Wow.
Yeah, requested.
You can't even do a spell check.
Right, spell check at least, guys. If you're going to try to prove that you're more intelligent than me, at least spell check. An age of technology. That the court place a gag order on Miss Bendl. So this is my ex-husband that I divorced in June 2013, requesting Judge Sandra C. Upchurch to put a gag order on me, to keep me from telling my story, to keep me from going public with my story. Now, if you followed my other videos, previously I talked about how Judge Morosin of Illinois Circuit 19 actually did put a gag order on me for 3 years, violating my First Amendment, which is part of why I have the legal right to file that writ of habeas corpus. So now I have evidence that my ex-husband is requesting a judge to put a gag order on me, which violates my First Amendment. This isn't a criminal case. Gag orders are only for criminal cases. This is definitely not a criminal case.
Or high publicity or
Right.
or terrorism cases.
Exactly. Posting the children's personal medical records and conditions, DCFS confidential documents. Well, they filed DCFS confidential documents into my docket, and the docket is public record. So it's okay for you to do it, but it's not okay for me. Gotcha. Their school information, ID, and grades to her public social media accounts immediately. Okay. Again, all of that is in my docket, which is in the state of Florida, a public record. Because again, Florida is a very liberal state when it comes to public records. So anyone can get my docket and read exactly what they're filing into it. So what they filed into it, what we're going to do next, is going to just prove my point. Heather is spreading inaccurate details of previous court events that have been brought up in court and dismissed by court. She needs to stop sending copies of these reports to unknown recipients. The information she is posting is placing them at a risk of harm by predators on social media.
If you're sending stuff to unknown recipients, how do they know that other people are getting it if they're unknown people?
Great question.
I mean, it's the going in circles.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
The normal logic just isn't
Well,
there.
I mean, let's think about this. If Justin Serlick did actually write this, if this really was him, he had to have been high as a kite when he wrote it. Because he's a writer.
I make no judgments.
Guys, he's a writer. I have publications that Justin has written for Dungeons and Dragons. Justin can actually write. So either this is him high as a kite writing this, because I know he can use big words, or this is Mary or Laura. But yeah, it's definitely not written very well, to say the least. Miss Bendl has even gone as far as not only to publicly post the information, but her own recorded files of her. The Zoom hearings in this case files online publicly. It's public record. It's all public record.
Yeah, you actually pay to get.
Yeah,
the official reports.
anybody can pay. You go to the website, you pay the $20, you get it, you publish it. It's public record. She has uploaded these files to her cloud storage and shares the links to people. It's on my YouTube now. It's not even on my cloud. It's on my YouTube permanently on the internet forever for my children to watch, for the public to watch, the whole world to watch. Permanent, forever. Get used to it, guys. So along with this formal request of pleading that literally has Justin's signature on it. Now, I recognize that that's his. Okay. So that's his signature. So he's signing that this is his words, right? So we'll find out if that is actually his words. But along with this 2-page request to put a gag order on me, February 24th of this year, is this. Pete, tell everyone that this is.
Okay. This is pretty much just if you went through Heather's Facebook page and various social media and just randomly printed stuff with zero context.
But this isn't just them randomly printing. This is them taking the time to squish it together and put multiple pages on the same page to print.
This isn't even about Heather or Heather's case at all. This is just Heather sharing a post from a friend. Another mother that's dealing with family court issues.
They literally took the time. I mean, this is a lot of time that they spent on this. They took the time to go through my entire Facebook feed, squish it down.
This is, just
to print multiple pages on the same page. And not all of this is even relevant to my case.
Yeah.
So now things are in my case thanks to Justin Serlick, because it's Heather Bendl versus Justin Serlick. Now, thanks to Justin Serlick, there's a ton of stuff in my case against him that has nothing to do with the case and everything to do with other people that is now public record.
Even, just, it's really crazy. It's hard to understand what the logic here is, because it is just the most random assortment of stuff. Some of it is just screen captures of posts Heather made, but then some of it has nothing to do. This is quite
literally evidence that Mary Serlick and Laura Stiles are stalking me. This is evidence they're stalking me. They literally filed evidence into my docket proving they stalked me.
This is just a post Heather did on her Facebook when she was working at the Daytona International Speedway. Has nothing to do with her case. Just a picture of her being at the Daytona Speedway.
They're not stalking
in the morning.
us, according to them. They're not stalking us.
They're wanting the court to file a gag order against Heather for posting stuff on. This is just a post anybody would make when they're. This has nothing to do with anything. You can't silence somebody and take away their First Amendment right just because they post what they're doing online. That's not how the world works there.
But when I say they've been trying to silence my children and I for years, this is literally what I'm talking about. This is my ex-husband telling a judge to put a gag order on me. Yeah. Like I'm not even a U.S. citizen. He's above the law. The Serlicks are above the law.
This will be the last bit that we'll cover from this.
And it's ironic.
And the very last page. You want to hold that up there, Heather? This is a post Heather made. And they included it as their evidence. This is literally some screen captures of The Handmaid's Tale where women are being silenced. And they're trying to use that as evidence to get a gag order on Heather. It is
the irony that this happened to be, because I was rewatching Handmaid's Tale to gear up for season 6, because we're in the last season of it, and then it's going to go on to the next book, which I read Margaret Atwood's book in middle school, I think. It really is becoming a reality in our country, and it's quite scary. But December 29th of 2024, I was gearing up for season 6 to come out, so I was rewatching season 5, and I made a post. I literally paused this scene, and I took photos, because I am a fine arts background, so music and movies and TV are a huge part of who I am, symbolically. So I took photos of this scene, and then I posted it on Facebook. I will no longer be silenced in regards to what has been done to my children and I for the last 5 years straight. Season 3, episode 6. So this quite literally
is the last thing in their evidence requesting a gag order against Heather. It is like, you can't make this stuff up. It's wild. So,
but it'll all be scanned for you guys to see.
Yeah.
Tell us what type of person this
all right.
All
right. So now
all right. So who is Laura Stiles to me? All right. So this is how I got connected with Laura Stiles, and God, I wish I never did this. So I drive my RV down here end of November, early December 2021. I'm staying at Nova Family Campground in Port Orange at the recommendation of my Illinois attorney, Thomas Hunter, get your RV down to Florida, get in a campground as close as possible to your children, and record every attempt that you make to communicate with your children via visitation, in person, over the phone, whatever. Record everything, okay? Which is why I have so much of this stuff. That's the one thing he told me to do. Record everything. So, December of 2021, I'm now officially down here. My children and I's property is still in my house in Round Lake Beach. I am down here in an RV. My roommate that I was renting the house with was still at the house. All my property was still up in Chicagoland and at Round Lake Beach. I'm trying to establish myself in Florida. Mary and Ira Serlick figured out I was staying at the Nova Family Campground just down the road from Kingswood, where they're at in Port Orange. And Ira started stalking me in Nova Family Campground on his motorcycle. And lo and behold,
he stands out. So,
white cue ball head.
You can't miss him. I see him all the time because my office happens to be on the main road between their subdivision and the Port Orange Police Department, where he's a citizen patrol volunteer. He looks like one of the troopers from Spaceballs when he's got his big white helmet with the open face on it, riding a white Honda Goldwing motorcycle. He stands out. So for Heather to see him,
and I was all the way in the back of the campground. Per my
see
choice, I wanted some privacy. So I was all the way in the back of the campground in the very back corner. I loved where I was at in that campground because I had privacy. So what that also meant is every time, because I know campers around me, anytime someone drove around, I could see exactly who was driving past me because there was no one else around me because I was all the way in the back. They let me pick where I wanted my site at when I reserved it back in October 2021. So when I'm seeing him driving past my campground, I knew I was being stalked. So then all of a sudden I go to pay my January 2022 lot rent, and all of a sudden I'm being told that I need to leave. Someone told them that I was a drug dealer and I needed to leave. I was no longer welcome. Wonder who that someone was. Mary and Ira Serlick. Okay. So for the month of January, I actually drove up to Folkestone, Georgia, where I was staying at a campground just over the border in Georgia for the month of January 2022. And let me tell you, it was cold. I had my furnace on, I had a space heater, I had my mattress turned on heat-wise, and I had my heating blanket.
Heather was staying in, just so, because some people are new and may not know. Heather was in a canvas-walled pop-up camper.
And it was 20 degrees in the month of January in Folkestone, Georgia.
So
it was cold.
Imagine basically being in a tent in sub-freezing.
I'm basically cold weather camping in a pop-up camper in Folkestone, Georgia in the month of January 2022. So I'm joining a bunch of Facebook groups locally to Daytona area to start meeting people. I'm looking for a job down here because I had to leave my job in Illinois because I had to be local to a corporate office. So I needed a job down here. I was on unemployment, blah, blah, blah. So I get connected with a guy who told me about roomies.com. So ROOMIES.com. It is a website where you either look for rooms for rent or you have a room for rent, and it matches people up, okay? So I was looking for rooms for rent in Port Orange area because that's where my children were living at the time, with Mary and Ira in Port Orange. So I was trying to establish myself in the same town as where my children were currently living in 2022. So I come across an ad for a house in Water's Edge that was posted by Gary Rutledge. Gary and I email back and forth. He shows me pictures of the house. I love the community. I came and see the house. I met Gary. Laura was sick on the couch, so I didn't really converse with her. But Gary and I clicked right away. We were both nerds. He was 10 years older than me. So we just clicked, okay? So I decide that I'm going to move forward with this room for rent. Laura Stiles requires my driver's license, my social security card, a $600 deposit, and then the $600 monthly rent. So Laura Stiles got a copy of my driver's license, my social security card, and $1,200 from me January 25th, 2022. Okay? Originally, I wasn't supposed to move in until February 1st of 2022, but Lou, the previous roommate that I was replacing, that she kicked out because she didn't like him, had moved out early. So I still to this day have every text message from Laura Stiles where she texted me and said, there's no sense in you staying up in Georgia until the end of the month. The room is empty. You've already paid for the room. Just come move in now. Okay? So January 25th, 2022, I start moving my property into Gary and Laura's house. I'm renting the third room for $600. And that's kind of it. Laura Stiles was one of my two roommates. Now, had I wished Gary warned me about Laura's personality and obsessiveness before I made this choice, this would have never happened. After I met Gary in the driveway, he did make a comment, just be careful about what you share with Laura. She tends to immerse herself in your life and obsess over your life. So just be careful with what you say to her. I didn't think much of it. I'm like, whatever. I wish I'd heeded that warning a little bit more seriously, but I did not. So here I am. I'm now living with Laura Stiles, January 25th, 2022, and Gary Rutledge in 2022 in Water's Edge Division in Port Orange, Florida. So she was my roommate. That's it. She was my roommate. I did not know her before January 25th, 2022. I had no clue this person existed on the planet. In all intents and purposes, she was a older woman that I was sharing a house with that was the same age as my mother, the exact same age as my mother. Okay. So I saw her as a parental figure. I did not see her as my equal. I did not see her as my friend. I did not see her as my buddy. She was my roommate that was the same age as my own mother. So, what was my ex-roommate saying to you?
Well, and again, I have absolutely 100% zero reason for this lady to communicate with me at all. And, before I even got the first message from her, Heather warned me that as soon as we made our relationship public on Facebook,
actually, I should probably read over my stuff from her because that explains why I warned you about her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is the email stack from Laura Stiles to me. Okay. Years after I no longer live with her. So May 13th of 2022. Now, I moved in with her January 25th of 2022. I moved out of that house in Water's Edge and in with Greg Shivers March 31st of 2022. So Laura Stiles was only my roommate from January 25th, 2022 to March 31st, 2022. That's it. 2.5 months. That's it. Even after I moved out, this is all after I moved out, all of this. This is not during my time living with her. This is after. May 13th, 2022, she emails me, and she's talking about my children like she should have any reason to be talking about my children. It's almost like she's pretending that my children are her grandchildren or something. So now it was Tommy who was thrown through the wall. Interesting. I have text in your diatribe that says it was Charlie. You can't even keep your shit straight. You've sent me harassing email to my work address. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Any and all work-related over...
That's a funny thing there.
Right.
She thinks it's illegal to send messages to people's work emails. We'll get to that. Get to that.
Any and all work-related over 90-day employment shows up on a background check. You have none. Any degree shows up as well, and license and certificates. You have none. What is the law when it comes to college transcripts, Pete?
What do you...
So college transcripts are protected. The only way you can get a copy of it is if the actual student orders one.
Yeah, it's protected through the federal laws, FERPA, Federal Education Parent Protection Act, something like I forget I should know the details. I have a degree in higher education administration.
So
it's been almost 20 years.
So the only way Laura Stiles would be able to get a copy of my transcript is if I provided her a copy of it. But guess what, guys? You can go to my LinkedIn and you can go to my education and you can actually see an updated copy of my transcript that I ordered this year. So it shows my entire education since 2004. So anything that Laura Stiles or Mary Serlick tries to say about me and my education is proven wrong on that transcript for the whole world to see, and I did that by choice. Death threat must have missed that one. Would love to see it. So I'm not going to go through the insane amount of Facebook messages I had to block, but Laura Stiles actually threatened my life through Facebook messages. And that's what she's talking about. Death threat, must have missed that one. And yes, I'm going to call you on every lie you ever, and we'll text small claims court, criminal court. Like I said, let's go. Laura Stiles. All right. So that was May of 2022, 2 months after I moved out of her house. So another email, May 13th of 2022. Oh, and you're still psychotic, you're still full of crap, and still having a self-inflated sense of self-worth. Okay. Funny you think any press agency is interested in your psychotic episodes, and involving your minor children just makes it much more sad on your account and activities. Email my work address one more time and I'm calling the police, which she's never done. These two 65-plus-year-old women have nothing better to do with their life but stalk and harass me with idle threats. So now another email. Piss off, bitch. Florida State Police, as you call them, have zero jurisdiction over any of this. I'm not interested in your fiance. So at the time, that would have been Greg Shivers. She was absolutely obsessed with Greg. I have tons.
It makes it clear in the messages I get.
Yeah, she was obsessed with Greg. And my only interest in you is seeing to your kids never have to deal with your abuse again in their lives. Okay, so you are coming between my children and I? Sounds like a lawsuit.
Yeah, it's interfering with parental rights.
Yep. In the state of Florida, you don't have to be a family member to be charged with that, interfering with family rights. All right, so May 13th, same date. So these are all the same day, but all different emails. Why don't you get a job? Then you won't have time to harass people. Print this. So at this point, I was literally telling her I was printing all these emails and filing an injunction against her, which I did actually. I filed 2 injunctions against her. All right, another one. Oh, that's the same thing. I think I mixed some of these up. All right.
Yeah, well, there is a lot.
There's a lot. There is definitely
and
a lot.
There's a lot of reply all. So
yeah, so there's a lot of overlap. All right, so this goes to February 15th of 2023. Again, this is a year after I moved out of that house with her. And I had no reason to ever communicate with her again. But this is when I first got back down to Florida, and I had moved back in with Greg Shivers before Pete and I met. And so this email from Laura, the subject is, don't go away mad, ... I tell you to go fuck yourself, but I hear you just lay there and sweat.
Quality person writing.
Right? Right? That's it. That's the whole email.
Yeah.
That's the whole email. She literally took a meme off of my Facebook and she emailed me the meme responding with that meme. And then later that same day, now I was working for Capital One Service Desk when this was happening, so I was busy working at 3:52 p.m. when she sent this email to me. I wasn't even home Valentine's Day last year, dumbass. I was out of town at a cat show. Liar, 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 pants on fire. If the lips are moving, you're lying. Ha, 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 ha. I know a lot about your pathetic life. Don't have Pathetic, don't have shit life. If anyone needs to walk off a pier, ... it's you. Later that same day. Now, this is all on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day 2023. And the only reason I'm getting these emails is because I was making posts on Facebook that day about Greg and I having plans for Valentine's Day dinner after he got off work that day. So she intentionally started emailing me, harassing emails, knowing that Greg and I had plans for Valentine's Day. And she claims she's not obsessed with Greg or me.
Well, we'll let you guys decide when you read all the emails.
You know all about insane. I'm not the one who has to pine over men who keep dumping her all over Facebook. I've been a relationship with the same person for over 6 years. She can't even speak English. And him being 1,200 miles away works. His kids come first, but you wouldn't know anything about that. He pays child support, is a loving father, gets to see them, travel with them, and participate in their lives, which is what abusers don't get. God should punish child abusers hard. You're right, Laura, they should. That's why Justin should be in jail. Too bad we have to wait so long to see it happen. I had a brother-in-law like you. He rotted in jail for 20 years before he died there. We can only hope.
Yeah, now that one, I just want to clarify. She's saying she's been in a relationship with somebody for 6 years?
Apparently.
When you were her roommate, was there any
No.
she was in a relationship?
No, she was too busy clinging to Gary and I, and then Greg, when Greg came into the picture.
I just wanted to clarify.
No, she was married to her damn cats. Same day, later in the evening, and I laugh my ass off daily at your fantasy world because I know the truth. It's quite colorful. A drunk is probably the best you can do given how easily your truth eventually spills out. So she's referring to Greg Shivers. He's an alcoholic. The whole world knows that. Another email. Use those big college words with a bunch of laughs. Now, I need to explain something. When this all started, for the life of me, I could not figure out how to block emails on my Comcast.net email. Xfinity does not have like Gmail has where you can just block an email. It took almost 2 years of this insanity to happen before I finally figured out that I can set a filter and then I can then reject emails with a response through that filter. So these have only been happening since I couldn't block her yet. But in 2024, I figured out how to block her, and that's when the emails quickly came to an abrupt stop.
And that's when I started getting some.
Mm-hmm. So another one, wait till here's a good one. We want to talk about how these two women have been trying to get me fired from jobs. Here's literally in Laura. Here, I want you to read that one.
Okay. From Laura. Subject, LOL. Wait till I contact your employer and let them know you updated your friend's computer on company time with company software updates. What dumbass posts that on Facebook? I pay for some pretty awesome tech coverage by real professionals. So she's literally making the threat that she's going to contact Heather's employers, which is something Heather has been saying that has been happening for
years. Last 5 years.
And
Mary Serlick has literally, I have proof that she's reached out to my employers trying to get me fired from my jobs to destabilize me. And here's Laura Stiles in an email quite literally telling me
the same thing.
She's going to do that. Now, what she's referring to is at this point, I was working for Capital One Service Desk, and I am not an Apple person. I am a PC person, Microsoft all the way. And I was getting an influx of calls from Capital One employees that were having issues with their MacBooks. And I was a remote help desk. So walking people through how to reset their MacBooks virtually is not easy to do when you haven't done it yourself. So ironically, Greg Shivers is a Mac person. So I had posted on my Facebook, and for my friends on here that might have remembered this, I had posted I was so proud of myself because Greg had given me his MacBook to reformat, and so I was using his MacBook to learn how to physically reformat the Macs, because some of them cannot be pushed to the newest OS, and his MacBook he couldn't go any higher than Monterey, and Monterey was what we were migrating off of in Capital One at the time. So I was just making a Facebook post proud of myself that I successfully reformatted Greg's MacBook without anyone helping me. And that basically means I'm going to be more successful with my job at Capital One. Now, you don't need any software to reformat a MacBook. Macs reformat themselves.
Just about.
You literally, it's all about the proper commands and keys, and then it reformats itself and reconnects to the server and updates.
The OS software is free with Mac. You don't pay for a subscription.
Right.
You just get whatever the newest version that your computer can actually handle.
Yeah.
And I know that because that's one of my computers is a MacBook.
Yeah. So she's in an email literally saying that I'm on my company's time, and yeah, no, it was not.
Yeah, because you're, as a remote employee, the company you're working for literally sees everything on your screen.
Right.
And everything that you're doing.
I miss my job at Capital One. I loved my job there. They're such an amazing company to work for. Anyway, so that email was sent February 15th, 2023. And then we jumped to May 22nd, 2023. Now, at this point, we're talking a year and a half after I moved out of that house with her. So no reason for her to continue emailing me.
A year and a half later, after you were her roommate for 3 months.
Yep, not even. 2.5 months. Half of January till the end of March. So May 22nd, 2023, completely out of the blue. As you can see, there's no email behind this. So this was just triggered by a Facebook meme I made. So she stalks my Facebook, copies the meme, and then uses the meme to email me. And the email states, in subject, you. Because you are a worthless piece of crap that deserves all the bad karma she gets, you do horrible things to people you have done nothing but help you. You can't find anyone to love you because you tear everyone down. You criticize, you insult, and your lies are cheap, easy to see through, and pathetic. You're running out of people and options to thieve from anyone and anything. They are coming for you and will hopefully put you away forever, protecting the kids from your sick mind. They don't want to ever see you again. They know right from wrong and what a sick person you are. So this woman that I lived with for less than 3 months, a year and a half prior to this, out of the blue, emails me this with a meme, one of the random memes I would post, as the only trigger for this email. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that now that I had figured out how to block her emails, this is a new email address. I'd never seen this email before.
And that's a common theme, and I'll even show it with the messages I get. You block one. It's like Medusa. You cut off one head, and another one shows up.
Yeah. As soon as they figure out that you've blocked an email, they create a whole nother one, and they do this with Facebook too, and they do this with YouTube too. So you guys want to know why I never have my comments turned on my YouTube channel videos? This is why, because they had switched to making nasty comments on my YouTube channel. Now that I'm reading all of this to everyone, you tell me what type of people they are. Then we get to the emails where Laura is, at this point she had started emailing Pete. So this is all this year. This is all 2025. Now, these emails are to Pete as well, so he's going to read those. But an email that I got directly from Laura, from a whole different email that I didn't know existed. It's now blocked. This is February 23rd of 2025. So a month and a half ago, 3 years after I lived with her, I'm still getting harassing emails from her. You are a joke. Everyone is laughing at you, and you show how crazy you are with every email you send. You're losing in court and embarrassing yourself there with your lack of knowledge and childish outbursts. Can't wait until you finally go to jail so your fake church family can finally learn what a con artist you are. I'd love to show them your background report showing no jobs, no certifications, no education, nothing. By the way, did you know the flying monkeys were the most powerful creatures in Oz? Dumbass. Okay. Next email from her this year. February 24th, 2025. It's 6:13 a.m. This woman has nothing better to do at 6 o'clock in the morning than to wake up and harass me. And there is nothing below this email, so there's nothing that actually triggered it. This is just her waking up and wanting to be a horrible human. Subject, wah, wah, wah. Again, your lack of knowledge and information is laughable. You have to have a trial case to be considered for anything Supreme Court. Yours isn't trial business. You don't have an action to be able to appeal.
Yeah.
And with threats that you have made towards anything in court in Volusia, you're surprised you aren't getting anywhere. How stupid are you, Heather? How laughable are you to anyone who knows how this works? And your screaming match at the courthouse last Friday is going to make you any progress. You don't think the judges don't hear about that behavior. Just stop. Just go away. Quit screwing with everyone with your pitiful cries for attention and just go away. Laura, I'm not going away. These are my 4 children. Not yours, not Mary Serlick's. I will never go away when it comes to my children. Do I make myself clear? So Pete,
all right.
In this, well, real quick, in the part where you don't have an action to be able to appeal.
Yeah.
Where are we at now with this?
So Heather has filed an appeal, which is going to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
I have a case number. We're going to appellate court, and if I don't get anywhere in the appellate court, we're going to the Supreme Court, which is where that came from.
We're not going to get into the details of it, but there's some significant legal points that information we've come across that could really upend a lot of things, and so we're going to go through that process. But for all the things Laura claims to be, which is a lot, because if you ever look at her, I want to direct, when you guys are reading through some of her emails, look at her signature lines, because it keeps changing. She keeps adding stuff, claiming.
Oh, now she has a PhD.
Yes, she claims she has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD. Apparently she's a lawyer now too, because she's giving legal advice. All right, but so back up a step. Okay, so Heather's been getting harassing emails for years from her, pretty much from almost the moment Heather crossed paths with her. I have zero reason that I should ever get any messages from this lady. But when me and Heather first met and first started seeing each other, just knowing that Heather was going through this family law case, we kept our relationship, offline. We were not posting stuff publicly because of this. And so Heather basically warned me. Once we made the decision, we wanted to share our life with people. We want people to know we're happy. We want people to see what we're doing. We want to be able to share, good things. When we made the decision together to make our relationship, as they call it nowadays, Facebook official, Heather warned me, I was probably going to get messages from these people. And man, was she right. I think it was within 24 hours. We'd have to go back and double check. But I got messages from Laura Stiles from multiple profiles. We have a Laura E. Stiles and a Laura Stiles, and then I got at least one email, if not 2 email addresses. And these are sent to different places. So the first message I got came to my personal Facebook. So I got a message to my personal Facebook through Facebook Messenger, and that's this message. This was July 26th, 2023. So this would have been just after I think were we Facebook official then?
July?
Yeah.
No.
No.
That was in September.
Okay. So this is just when
we were hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, to give the context on this first one, this is just, they saw Heather with somebody else on Facebook, hanging out.
Yep.
Okay. And you did have to go back on our Facebooks to see what we were doing and how we were hanging out. I don't even remember. It's been a little while. We were just enjoying life. So, out of the blue,
I was still in my RV.
Out of the blue message from Laura E. Stiles profile, who I've never met, have no reason to talk to. Okay, here's the message. You need to get as far away from Heather Bendl you can. So she's not even using proper grammar. Greg is not under supervision. We'll get to that. He was finally cleared and closed today. I'll explain all of that here in a second. I was there. I'm her ex-roommate. That woman is so crazy batshit. Again, just I'm reading it the way she typed because I know it doesn't sound right. That's how she typed. I moved out and broke lease to get away from her in a house she was squatting in. Ex-roommate brought her in and left her there. Called the cops on me constantly for stupid shit. She locked Greg out of his apartment twice. Then she got pissed and made up some domestic abuse charges. She has a long history of it, 27 cases. Showed the state attorney today and they released Greg. It's closed. Say to yourself, before it's too late, you'll be next. Okay, so again, you get a message like that out of the blue.
Go to
it's a little weird.
Org.
It's a little weird, but let's add some reality to this. Okay, so the Greg that she's referring to is Heather's ex, who Heather had dated before Heather met me. They broke up when he assaulted her, and domestic battery charges were filed by the New Smyrna Beach Police.
Now, let's be clear. I did not press charges on him.
It's the state of Florida. It's mandatory that the police press charges.
No, the reason why he was arrested is because I had called 911 because he injured me, and I was panicking, so I called 911 to get EMS assistance. And when EMS got to the apartment, the cops were called by the EMS, and then the cops came into the situation while this was still happening and recognized that Greg was completely intoxicated, and Greg was literally threatening my life. So they hauled him in because Greg was threatening my life right in front of the cops.
And not only that, Heather has video from that night of Greg waving a knife around and making threats with that.
And the prosecutor wanted the video evidence, so gave him the video evidence.
So there was an incident, okay? So Greg was arrested, charged with domestic battery, okay? Now, in this message, it goes on to make it seem like all charges were dropped against Greg. He was completely cleared, exonerated. No. He pled no contest. He was put on supervised release.
So what do you know about that? Just from what I've told you about him reaching out to me.
About the supervised release?
Yeah, so the supervised release...
So initially he was supposed to have zero contact with you.
Right. So he was originally... The judge had originally put on no contact within 250 feet. I stupidly, because I was trauma bonded to Greg, filed for no harassing contact so Greg and I could still talk. But at the end of this, what she's talking about, Greg pleaded no contest. He was put on supervision. He was required by the state of Florida to do an anger management class. He then emailed me the certificate of completion for the anger management class in a means to get me to talk to him again, knowing that I was living with Pete at this point. So Pete has even seen that certificate of completion. Why would Greg have an anger management certificate if he wasn't?
But at any rate, it's public knowledge, public information. You can go on clerk.org, put in the name Greg Shivers. You can look at the case. You'll see it was not completely dropped and exonerated. So obviously the message here, it's lies from Laura Stiles. And what would be the only purpose of this message? The only purpose of this message is that they saw Heather making connections in the community with other people, because at this point we were not Facebook official yet. We were just, posting, going out, doing stuff together. So the only purpose that a message like this would have would be to sever a positive connection Heather has in her own life. All right. So what did I do? I blocked it. You can see down there on the bottom, Facebook blocked. Okay, because I never responded to it. I have no reason to respond. Okay. So when I didn't respond, what does she do? So. If you know, a lot of people who have jobs, sometimes their jobs require them to have social media profiles. My job is that way. I have for my job a business Facebook page tied to my job. And with those business Facebook pages, you can get messages as well. So this next message, when I blocked her from my personal page, she then now there was one message. She had posted a comment on my business page that had to be deleted or hidden, but it's so far down in the feed I can't go back and get it. It would take me days to scroll through that. But this came through on Facebook Messenger. Now, it's a different profile than the other one because I blocked the other one, but then she also tries to send this to my business page. From Laura Stiles, this was on August 6th of 2023.
So that was right after I started NASCAR fan crew.
You were warned. Question yourself the first time she needs money, when she starts recording arguments, when she wants rough sex that leaves marks, first time you disagree with her and she loses it. I'm trying to save you from the shit Greg and I went through. Good luck with that. And then she's like, one other line here. Oh, and I, quote, work for a living, which is more than she can say.
She's retired. She's collecting Social Security.
So this is.
She doesn't work.
So this came.
Neither does Mary. Neither one of them have ever done an ounce of work.
This came as a message to my professional business Facebook page. A random out of the blue message to my professional Facebook business page talking about rough sex.
What? Yeah. Why is a 65-year-old woman that has nothing to do with me personally reaching out to a man I'm involved with talking about rough sex?
Yeah, but not only that, to send it to a page for a business.
For a business.
Right?
For Edward Jones.
I wish you wouldn't say the company name, but
that's public knowledge.
Well, I mean,
whatever.
People can figure it out. But
it's just scary. It's just scary, guys.
I mean, I got those messages, and I actually had to report that to my compliance team, my headquarters. I got that message. I was at that point, I was only a few months into this new job, and I get this random message from some person I don't even know, and I had to send that to our compliance department.
And she's talking about rough sex on.
Yeah.
So compliance department for his corporation had to read that.
Okay. Now, again, I didn't respond to that. I just blocked it after, I made my reports that I had to, and then blocked it. And then I didn't get anything directly from her until last November, when I get an email out of the blue. Okay. Now, some of this is redacted. Okay. But this email was sent to my work email address, which, if you go back in the messages that Heather received, she was complaining about Heather sending messages to her work email, and here she is sending messages to my work email when I have zero reason for her to do that. She's not one of my clients. She never will be. I didn't even know her at the time, have no reason to know her, don't want to know her. The world would just be better if she wasn't here. So this message came to my work email, and it says, I tried to warn you. You tired of her lies yet? Question mark. How deep are you willing to go in financially for her lies? Question mark. Would you like to ask me and Greg how much it costs us each? And that's sent from Laura Stiles, sent from her iPhone. Okay.
So, November of 2024, and she's emailing Pete about Greg. Still. To his work email. Like,
now, here's so I want to.
She thinks and talks about Greg more than I do, and I was the one in a relationship with him.
Here's the crazy part, right? Here's the crazy part. We'll let the internet decide what's really going on here. In the email I get, she's trying to tell me how bad and how horrible of a person Heather was to Greg. Now, what she doesn't know at this time, I've lost track of the number of times Greg has continuously tried to be communicating with Heather, changing,
emails.
From different emails,
7 different emails blocked,
different Facebook profiles. Here's the thing: every time Heather gets a message from one of her exes,
anyone,
she shares it with me. Well, really, it's messages from anyone.
It really
so
is.
Like,
I mean, I share everything with him.
It's not like I'm being caught off guard here. The reality is, I already know. How can you say, if Heather did all these horrible, horrible things, right? Why is that guy still trying to get into Heather's life to this day?
Yeah,
still.
I mean, it was like a few months ago that we're talking 2025.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a relationship with him since April of 2023.
It gets
and he
more.
just recently sent me another email from another email address that I had to block a few months ago, this year.
Now, we'll move on. So Heather had a court hearing in her family law case.
Yes, January 8th, 2025. That was in person with Sandra C. Upchurch from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at the Daytona Courthouse.
Laura Stiles was there as a guest of presumably Mary, but
so it was Justin, obviously, because it's Heather Bendl versus Justin Serlick, and really no one else should be involved other than Justin and I, but Mary Serlick, Ira Serlick, and Laura Stiles.
This Laura Stiles lady is there. I didn't know who she is because I've never met her before, but I saw who she was that day. Okay, so the court hearing happens, right? So then the very next day, this lady, again, I have zero.
Well, what did she do to me after the court hearing? Because that's
as we were trying to leave the courthouse, Heather had left stepped outside of the courtroom just before the end of the proceedings. When everything was over, I stepped out of the courtroom. I made my way over to Heather, who was sitting across the hall, like down the hall, not right by the door. And Laura came, she came out of the courtroom and started shouting at Heather and Kate.
No, she wasn't just shouting; she was charging at me.
And we basically
charging at me.
We had to make a beeline to the elevator.
Pete got in between us. I went to a full panic attack because I'm not expecting to be charged at.
Courthouse deputies hear the commotion and came running over.
How she didn't get arrested means she has connections.
Our biggest mistake is we just wanted to get out of there.
If I wanted to do it, if I did something like that to Justin or Mary, I would have absolutely been hauled away in handcuffs.
But anyways, so that happens. The court hearing happens. The very next day, this lady who has zero reason to be, let alone not only messaging me, has zero business with me, shows up at my office. There's the police report. I had to call the police. Okay. I won't get into the details. But it is recorded on video. She showed up, was making unhinged, basically completely lunatic allegations for stuff that's not even possible. Leave it, to suffice. I have no idea, why this lady would do this, other than it appeared she was trying to get me. What she was trying to do, she was trying to get a private meeting with me in my office behind closed doors. I wasn't about to let that happen. She never even got past our waiting room. We made her leave, and we had to call the cops. But like I said, it's all recorded. She was making some crazy allegations that I was, somehow sharing her personal information, which I don't have access to. I have no reason to have access to it. I don't even, again, prior to the day before when she showed up at the court, I'd never even met this lady.
She made the other employee that Pete works with so uncomfortable and so unsafe that woman was keeping the door locked the rest of that week.
But anyways, it seriously happened. There's the police report. So I had to file a police report. Unfortunately, Laura had left before the officer got there. Otherwise, she would have been trespassed as well. And then, because this lady still, for whatever reason, just wants to be involved, she's involving herself in this. There's another email. I got this one after that incident. This was on February 2nd. Laura added herself into an email that a bunch of other people were tagged in. Okay. It came from Laura, and it was also sent to iamserlick@gmail.com, which is Heather's ex-mother-in-law.
Val Breeden, which Valerie is Mary Serlick's friend, and Valerie was the original person that all four of my children were staying with in 2020 when they were first stolen from me, and then Mary Serlick was going to Valerie's house. So Valerie, you're going to be involved in my lawsuit.
But also,
and then Veronica Daly. Veronica, I'd love to know how you are involved with Mary Serlick. Justin Serlick and I went to school with Veronica Daly. So why Veronica is involved in this at all? So, but Laura Stiles is emailing Valerie Breeden and Veronica Daly from Illinois.
This is the last email we're going to read because we've gone on for an hour and a half here.
Well, this is a lot to cover between these two psychos.
This is coming from Laura Stiles, laura.stiles@yahoo.com, Stiles spelled Stiles. Because if you're going to send me an email, the world's going to know. All right. Let's add a few more truths for Pete. She didn't move out on me at the house on Calistoga. My neighbor reported her to the HOA for several things. I made the decision to move after her antics. 1, she was smoking pot in the broke-down van in the driveway. 2, she and Gary were having sex in the broke-down van in the driveway while the neighbor's kids were playing in the street. Okay.
I would think if that happened, we would have been arrested.
Yeah, if somebody actually saw something like that happening.
If there were kids around and people knew about it, the cops would have shown up.
Imagine my surprise upon getting a letter from the HOA. Okay, where's the copy of the letter?
Except the problem with that is I have emails from Invitation Homes explaining exactly how this happened.
Then she goes on to say, I took a transfer at work and moved. She couldn't qualify for the house and lost her job the Friday I moved and had to leave as well.
Why did I lose my job, I wonder?
Well, that's another story you've addressed, but we'll get to it. Returned her recently purchased $2,500 mattress and moved in with Greg. Did she tell you, Pete, she locked him out of his apartment? The landlord paid her $700 to get out. That was the first time she claims he abused her after a supposed miscarriage. Okay, so there's a lot there. Now there's more to this. Let me get through the whole email, then we'll break it down. Then there is the video where he supposedly pushed her in the Murphy bed. It doesn't show anything. He never laid a hand on her. He even took a lie detector test and passed it, but showing the state attorney 26 charges against ex-husband in Illinois saved him from probation and prosecution. She's also stolen 2021 tax docs from me and tried to get a loan from a check cashing place under my name. She also had a short-term deleted post telling everyone she had access to my financial account that you gave her access to. Okay, it's not even technically possible for that to happen. But anyways, that is why I went to your office. So she's trying to justify why she showed up at my office. She's trying to claim that Heather had made a post that I was sharing Laura's financial account information, which again, she's not one of my clients, not even possible. But then that's all I'll say about that. That's why I went to your office. When she posted it, I pulled every dime out. Then she says to ask her financial advisor, I could accuse you of tampering. You'll lose your position and your license. So now she's threatening me.
So threatening my job, threatening his job.
I'm not dangerous unless confronted and threatened. I've never threatened her. But there's emails. It's documented. We have it. I tell her to bring her BS on. I have documentation on everything. Oh, and Pete, I tell her all the time there's a fine line between panic attacks and temper tantrums. When she doesn't get her way, the fake tears and wah, wah, wah comes on. How do you know she doesn't drug you at night so she can perpetuate her crimes? So now she's literally, this lady is throwing this random crazy ass idea out that Heather is somehow drugging me in the middle of the night. Just insane. And now I told you to check her signature line. So her signature line now on this email is Laura Stiles, comma, DBL, BS, comma, MS, comma, PhD, comma, RET, which I'm assuming is retired. She says, I don't brag about any of my real degrees. I don't have to. I worked for 45 years in a real career.
Then,
okay.
if you have that level of education and you worked real jobs, why would you be living with someone 10 years younger than you and 25 years younger than you?
Stop.
Right?
Heather, you don't need to nitpick it. The internet is going to take care of it. So I want to go back. In this last email, a couple things. She talks about Heather making the claims after her supposed miscarriage. Let me make it 100% clear. There is no supposed miscarriage. It is 100% fact. There was. I've seen the doctor's reports. I've seen the reports from the hospital and Heather's doctor that she went to in Illinois. It happened. So there's no supposed. The video where he supposedly pushed her in the Murphy bed doesn't show anything. It showed the police enough to arrest him. Okay. On other videos that were all taken that same night, which I've seen personally, you see him waving a pocket knife around in the air, making threats. So it happened. I mean, the reality is it happened. You can read the actual police report from when Heather was arrested, or when Greg was arrested after. So it's all there. So, it's, again, but to get to the point, there is zero reason for this lady to be contacting me about anything. The only reason somebody in her position would be doing any of this, again, it's just trying to sever positivity that Heather has in her own life.
So what have you witnessed Mary and Laura doing to other people?
So, it's like they don't realize that you have friends, your friends understand what's going on, and your friends report back to you. One of your friends actually recorded the whole chat and sent the video to you.
And that's posted on my Facebook.
Laura Stiles pretending to be a news reporter. And we know.
Now, how do we know it's her?
So there's several things we know it was her. I don't want to get into all of the details, But when we actually went onto the Facebook profile, there's ways to track IP addresses, so you can see very clearly who it is. But the other thing is, like, she didn't even try to hide the profile, because the jobs that this
Cole just popped in, and that's exactly who we're talking about.
The jobs that this profile claimed to have are literally the jobs that Laura had.
So
from
she's
like the same companies.
She's reaching out
So
to
she
my
made
childhood
what she did
friends
is
in Illinois.
what she did is
pretending
she had,
to be a reporter.
What she did is she had another profile that was probably another Laura Stiles profile that used to be a real profile for her, but she wanted to start reaching out to people, but she couldn't use the name Laura Stiles. So she changed the name on the profile and then reached out to people pretending to be a news reporter. And it is so, if you know even the basics about news reporters.
Hey, Cole.
You
popped in right as we're talking about.
If you know any of the basics about news reporters, when you see this, and Heather's going to post it, I know she's already posted it, I think, but we'll post it again. There is no way this person's a news reporter.
No.
Just none at all. And Heather's friend Cole actually is the person who is receiving these messages from this person. Even Cole is like calling this person out on their bullshit, like in the chat, and you see it, and it's sad that these people have nothing better to do in their lives.
Have absolutely nothing better to do.
This is their entertainment. They go on random Facebook messaging sprees, pretending to be people that they're not. It's just insane. So I've literally seen that come through. I've seen Heather's other friends have received messages from Mary and Laura. It's so bad. It's the point where Heather has to keep a pinned post on the top of her Facebook feed to explain to anybody, if either of these two people contact you, this is why they're contacting you. It's to just be nasty, manipulative, conniving, soulless people.
I want to know why my ex-mother-in-law, that I divorced her son in June 2013, why she has absolutely nothing better to do with her time than send us emails,
and
messages,
the reality is,
stalk us, and then Laura Stiles.
Yeah,
what?
The reality is,
why is my life
if this video has been, entertaining at all, or if you have questions about anything, you really just go on, once Heather posts everything, go on, actually look at and read the actual text of the messages that we've received, because we didn't even, really, a lot of it is honestly too vulgar and,
it really
and disgusting.
Some of it
to
gets
actually
pretty disturbing.
Read on the video here, but we'll post it so you can make your own decisions. I mean, or make your own determinations on what's going on here. But ultimately, we'll just close on this.
Yeah.
Heather
if
has these two elderly psychopaths, because that's really, if you go have them do psychological evaluations, I'm sure this stuff's going to come up. They're just literally doing everything possible to insert themselves into Heather's life, with this only intention is to cause pain and continued heartache, and it's honestly, it's disgusting. It really is. Laura is her own deal. She doesn't have anything to do with this family. She shouldn't even exist in this family case.
The only reason she's connected to Mary Serlick is because I was renting a room in that house, and then Laura actively sought out.
But then
my ex's family.
So Laura is sort of her sociopathic nature, trying to insert herself into this. That's its whole other thing. Mary Serlick, is for any all intents and purposes,
right, Cole.
she is still she's the grandmother of these children, and she has had it in her head for longer than Heather's case has been going on here, that for whatever reason she feels her grandchildren should not have their mother in their life. And that is disturbing and disgusting.
From a disturbing point of view, because I heard Charlie accidentally call Mary mom, I think Mary Serlick is trying to teach my kids that basically she's their mother and I'm not. And if any of you truly understand psychology and the narcissistic mother with passive son syndrome, which is absolutely Mary and Justin Serlick's relationship to each other, where the narcissistic mother views their passive son as almost like an extension of themselves. It is an incredibly unhealthy relationship between a mother and son. And basically, she considers herself my children's mother. I am not their mother. She is. And that is where all of the psychology really pulls into this situation, and why I have decided to get my PhD in psychology as soon as I finish my master's in a few years. Because I specialize in this crap because I have been living this crap since 2003 when I married Justin. And I thought it was going to end when I divorced him in 2013, but here we are, 2025, and I'm still his prisoner. My children are still his prisoner. We are prisoners.
So we'll leave it at that. We just wanted to make a bit of a video to sort of bring to light some of these messages. And I don't know, maybe making it public will maybe get them to stop. We'll let the internet do its thing, but we want to be open with this. And, honestly, the messages we've gotten are so nasty and disgusting that, these people want to hide behind their keyboards. We're not going to let them hide anymore.
No,
we're going to publish.
We're going to give them their own little reality show.
If they haven't figured it out yet, they're going to send us messages. It's going to be made public, and we'll let the world. It's
going to go right on Facebook Live, and then be uploaded right to YouTube for the whole world to see, for my children to see. So they are not going to be able to hide behind this mask anymore. I'm done. I am speaking up for myself. I'm speaking up for my children. I'm using my voice. They can file 1,000 gag order requests into my docket, and it's not going to shut me up. My children are worth fighting for, and I will continue to fight for them. So I know this is another long video, but this is 5 years of harassment and stalking and abuse and emotional harassment. Pete does not deserve to deal with this shit from Mary Serlick and Laura Stiles. This is not his problem. Laura has absolutely no reason to be communicating with him, going to his office. She needs to find a new boy toy to obsess over. Go back to Greg or something. I don't know, but stay the hell away from us. I don't know how else we can possibly make this clear to stay away from us. Stop stalking us. Stop harassing us. Stay away from us. Because now moving forward, any single time you try to communicate with either of us or my friends, it's going to be right on the next update live. And you're going to have your own little reality show, guys. Mary and Laura, you're going to have your own little reality show. I'll make a playlist just for you on my YouTube. So keep it coming, and I'll keep showing the world what type of people you actually are. And then everyone in the communities can make that decision for themselves. Okay? I really appreciate everyone. If you're interested in this mass writ of habeas corpus, please check out Children's Court nonprofit. Phoenix Kai Rising is heading this. We've got Tanaway going to DC in June. He's doing a cross-country tour at the moment, collecting 500,000 affidavits from parents in similar situations to mine. There's a lot of big moves happening in the field of family court corruption and child protective services corruption. And I am absolutely going to be a part of it. And I hope that it lands me in DC eventually so I can start speaking for those that don't have a voice or are too afraid to use their voice. So I appreciate and love all of you. The final thing I want to close on, I've had a lot of people venting to me lately, other victims of this situation across the country. I can't emphasize enough Surround yourself with other victims that have similar stories to yours, and you will not feel so alone. A year ago, I thought I was alone in this. Now I'm connected to a whole bunch of people across this nation, and now we're doing mass writs of habeas corpuses. And that is a big deal because it's never happened in our national history before. Not like this, not like this. So, the best piece of advice I can give at this point is to hang in there, stay strong, surround yourself with other parents, mothers, fathers, grandparents that have lost their children to this family court corruption and this child trafficking ring. Stay strong, get connected with others that can help you. Listen to our podcasts, listen to our YouTube channels, go on our podcasts, use your voice if you are brave enough to, and just surround yourself with support. That's the best piece of advice I can give everyone at this point. Surround yourself with support. People's strength will give you strength. I'm going to leave it on this tonight. I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for all of your support, and you have a great rest of your Sunday evening. Bye, everyone.